The sun was setting over the small coastal town of Carmel by the sea, casting a golden glow over the quaint buildings. Lisa Miller wiped her forehead with the back of her hand as she rushed between tables at the Coastal Pine, one of the most upscale restaurants in town. At 28 years old, Lisa had been working as a waitress there for 3 years. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid her bills and, more importantly, helped fund her night classes in business administration at the local community college. Lisa's feet ached after 6 hours of her shift. She had 2 more hours to go before she could head home to her small apartment and review her notes for tomorrow's exam. Her brown hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and her green eyes were tired but still alert as she balanced 3 plates on one arm, a skill she had mastered over years of waiting tables. "Order up for table 12, she called to her coworker Donna as she passed by the kitchen entrance. The Coastal Pine wasn't just any restaurant. Its location in Carmel meant that celebrities and wealthy visitors often dined there, especially during film festivals or golf tournaments. The owner, Kate Johnson, made sure all staff knew that their wealthy customers needed to be treated with extra care. This meant generous smiles, prompt service, and a blind eye to any odd behavior. "Lisa, table 7 needs more wine," called Paul Grant, the restaurant manager. He was a tall man with thinning hair who had been running the Coastal Pine for over a decade. Most of the staff found him difficult to work with. He could be charming to customers but was often short-tempered with employees. "Right away," Lisa answered, quickly grabbing a bottle of the expensive red wine from the bar. As she approached table 7, Lisa noticed it was already empty. The customers had left, leaving behind half-empty glasses and crumpled napkins. She sighed and began clearing the table. The restaurant was busy tonight, and she needed to prepare it for the next customers who were already waiting by the entrance. As Lisa lifted a cloth napkin that had fallen to the floor, something caught her eye. Wedged between the cushions of the booth was a dark object. She reached down and pulled it out, finding herself holding a sleek, expensive-looking leather wallet. Lisa looked around quickly. The customers who had been sitting here left about 15 minutes ago. She remembered them vaguely, an older man with a younger woman, both well-dressed. The man had kept his hat on throughout dinner and spoken very little. She opened the wallet, looking for identification to find its owner. Her eyes widened as she saw the driver's license inside. The photo showed a familiar face, one she had seen countless times on movie screens. The name confirmed what she was seeing: Clint Eastwood. Lisa's heart beat faster. Clint Eastwood was not just any celebrity. He was a Hollywood legend and the former mayor of this very town. He still lived nearby and was respected by everyone in Carmel. The wallet contained several credit cards, about $2,000 in cash, and what looked like personal notes and small photos. This wasn't just a wallet with money. It contained personal items that might be important to him. Lisa immediately walked to the back office where Paul was counting the night's early receipts. "Paul, I found this wallet at table 7. It belongs to Clint Eastwood," she said, still surprised by her discovery. Paul looked up from his paperwork, his expression changing from annoyance at being interrupted to interest when he heard the famous name. He held out his hand and Lisa gave him the wallet. He said, opening it and glancing through its contents. "Just put it in the lost and found box. If he comes back for it, we'll have it." Lisa frowned. The lost and found was a cardboard box in the storage room where items often sat for weeks. Sometimes things disappeared from it before being claimed. For regular items like sunglasses or scarves, that system worked fine. But this was different. "Shouldn't we try to contact him directly? This has a lot of cash and personal items," Lisa suggested. Paul closed the wallet and fixed Lisa with a stern look. "Just follow procedure, Lisa. Put it in the lost and found. I'll make a note of it in the log." He handed the wallet back to her and returned to his paperwork, clearly considering. The matter closed. Lisa stood there for a moment, uncertain. Something didn't feel right about putting Clint Eastwood's wallet in a box where it might not be secure. "Is there a problem?" Paul asked without looking up, his tone making it clear he was irritated by her lingering presence. "No, sir," Lisa replied, and left the office. Instead of going to the storage room, Lisa returned to her section. She slipped the wallet into her apron pocket, deciding she would think about what to do while finishing her shift. The restaurant got busier as the evening went on, and Lisa had little time to think as she rushed between tables, taking orders and delivering food. By the time midnight arrived and the restaurant closed, Lisa had made a decision. She had looked up Clint Eastwood's address using the driver's license in his wallet. He lived just a few miles away in a private estate overlooking the ocean. After clocking out, Lisa drove her old Honda Civic through the winding roads of Carmel. The night was clear, with a bright moon lighting her way. She felt nervous, but determined. Returning the wallet directly seemed like the right thing to do, even if it meant going against her manager's instructions. The gates to Eastwood's property were impressive, but not flashy. Very much like the man himself, Lisa thought. A security intercom stood at the entrance. With a deep breath, she pressed the button. "Yes?" came a cautious male voice. "Hello, my name is Lisa Miller. I'm a waitress at the Coastal Pine restaurant. Mr. Eastwood dined with us earlier tonight and left his wallet. I wanted to return it to him personally." There was a pause, then the voice returned. "It's quite late. You could have called or returned it tomorrow." "I know, and I'm sorry for the late hour," Lisa replied. "But the wallet has cash and personal items. I didn't feel right leaving it overnight." Another pause, longer this time. Then the gates began to open slowly. "Drive up to the main house and wait in your car, please," the voice instructed. Lisa drove. Through the gates and up a curving driveway lined with cypress trees. The house ahead was large but tasteful, with warm lights glowing from several windows despite the late hour. As she parked and waited as instructed, a tall man with broad shoulders emerged from the house. Even in the dim light, there was no mistaking Clint Eastwood. His face, weathered by years but still handsome, was serious as he approached her car. Lisa stepped out, holding the wallet. "Good evening, Mr. Eastwood. I found this at your table after you left." He took the wallet, opened it, and checked the contents. His expression softened slightly. "Everything's here," he said, his voice that familiar raspy tone she had heard in so many films. Not many people would drive out at midnight to return a wallet with $2,000 in it. Lisa smiled. "I just thought about what I would want someone to do if it were my wallet. Besides, you're kind of important around here." A small smile formed on his lips. "What's your name again?" "Lisa Miller." "Well, Lisa Miller, thank you." He reached into the wallet and pulled out some bills. Lisa shook her head quickly. "Oh no, that's not necessary. I was just doing the right thing." Eastwood studied her for a moment, then put the money back. "Are you a student? You look like you might be." "Yes, business administration, night classes after my shifts." He nodded, seeming impressed. "Smart, planning ahead." He pulled out a small notepad from his pocket and wrote something down. "If you ever need anything, this is my assistant's number. What you did tonight, it means something." Lisa took the paper, surprised by the gesture. "Thank you, Mr. Eastwood." "No, thank you." "Good night, Lisa." As she drove back down the driveway, Lisa felt a sense of satisfaction. She had followed her instincts instead of her manager's instructions, and it felt good. She had no way of knowing that this simple act of honesty would completely change the course of her life, or that by this time tomorrow, she would be unemployed because of it. Lisa woke up the next morning feeling good about her decision to return Clint Eastwood's wallet. She had gotten home late and slept only 5 hours, but somehow she felt energized. She went through her usual morning routine, making coffee and reviewing her notes before her business class. The small piece of paper with the phone number of Eastwood's assistant sat on her kitchen counter. Lisa smiled at it, then tucked it safely into her wallet. The weekend passed quickly. Lisa worked her regular shifts at the Coastal Pine on Saturday and Sunday. She noticed that Paul, the manager, seemed to be watching her more closely than usual, but she thought little of it. Monday was her day off, which she spent studying for an upcoming exam and doing laundry. Tuesday morning arrived with foggy weather, typical of Carmel. Lisa drove to the restaurant for her lunch shift, which started at 11. She arrived 15 minutes early, as she always did, and parked in the employee lot behind the building. As she walked toward the back entrance, she saw Donna, a fellow waitress, smoking a cigarette. "Hey, Lisa," Donna said, her expression strange, a mix of pity and curiosity. "Paul wants to see you in his office right away." "Do you know what it's about?" Lisa asked, suddenly feeling uneasy. Donna shook her head and looked away. "Better not keep him waiting." Lisa walked through the kitchen, greeting the cooks who were preparing for the lunch rush. She noticed they seemed oddly quiet today. Something wasn't right. She knocked on Paul's office door. "Come in," he called. Lisa entered to find not just Paul but also Kate Johnson, the owner of the Coastal Pine. Kate was a tall, elegant woman in her 50s who rarely came to the restaurant before dinner service. She was sitting in Paul's chair, behind the desk, while Paul stood beside her. Neither of them smiled. "Close the door, Lisa," Kate said. Lisa did as she was told, her heart beginning to race. "Is everything okay?" "No, it's not," Kate said coolly. "Paul tells me you found a wallet on Friday night, a customer's wallet." Lisa nodded. "Yes, it was Clint Eastwood's. I returned it to him." "That's exactly the problem," Paul jumped in. "You were instructed to put it in the lost and found. Instead, you took it off the premises." "I didn't think the lost and found was secure enough for something so valuable," Lisa explained. "It had $2,000 in cash, plus credit cards and personal items." Kate leaned forward. "The issue is not what was in the wallet. The issue is that you, an employee, took a customer's property home with you." "I didn't take it home," Lisa protested. "I drove directly to Mr. Eastwood's house and returned it to him that night." "So you say," Paul said, his tone suggesting he didn't believe her. "How do we know you didn't remove some cash first?" Lisa felt her face grow hot with anger and shock. "I would never do that. Everything was in the wallet when I gave it back. Mr. Eastwood even checked it himself and said so." Kate raised her hand to stop the conversation. "The point is, you violated restaurant policy. You were told to put the item in the lost and found, and you disobeyed a direct instruction from your manager." "It was midnight," Lisa said, her voice rising slightly. "The wallet contained personal items and a lot of cash. I made a judgment call to return it immediately rather than leave it overnight." "It wasn't your call to make," Kate said firmly. "We have procedures for a reason. What if you had been accused of stealing? What if something had been missing? The restaurant could have been liable." Lisa took a deep breath. "I understand your concern, but nothing was missing. I did the right thing." "The right thing would have been following procedure," Paul said. "This isn't the first time you've done things your own way, Lisa." Lisa looked at him in confusion. "What do you mean? I've always been a good employee. Check my performance reviews." Kate sighed. "This isn't about your overall performance. It's about this specific incident. Taking customer property off-site is grounds for immediate termination according to your employment contract." The words hit Lisa like a physical blow. "Termination? You're firing me for returning a wallet to its rightful owner?" "We're firing you for violating policy and removing customer property from the premises without authorization," Kate corrected. "Your final paycheck is ready, including today's shift, even though you won't be working it." Paul opened a drawer and pulled out an envelope. "Here's your check. We'll need your apron and name tag." Lisa stood frozen, unable to believe what was happening. After 3 years of perfect service, she was being fired for doing what she thought was right. Slowly, she untied her apron and removed her name tag, placing them on the desk. "This isn't fair," she said quietly. "Life rarely is," Kate replied, standing up. "Please collect your personal belongings from your locker and leave through the back door. I'd prefer not to disrupt the lunch service." Lisa walked to the employee locker room, in a daze. Her hands trembled as she opened her locker and took out her small bag with her personal items. She had kept the same locker for 3 years. There were photos taped inside the door, Lisa with her friends, Lisa at her college orientation. She carefully removed each one and put them in her bag. Donna came into the locker room. "Lisa, what happened?" "They fired me," Lisa said, her voice hollow, "for returning Clint Eastwood's wallet instead of putting it in the lost and found." "That's crazy," Donna exclaimed. "You did the honest thing." "Apparently, honesty isn't part of restaurant policy," Lisa said bitterly. Donna looked over her shoulder nervously. "Look, I shouldn't tell you this, but something weird happened after you left Friday night. Paul was really angry when he found out you took the wallet. I mean, really angry. Not normal manager angry. And then he and Kate had a long private talk in the office on Saturday." Lisa frowned. "What are you saying?" "I don't know exactly," Donna whispered. "But it felt off. Like they were more upset that you returned the wallet than that you broke some rule." A security guard appeared at the locker room door. "Ms. Miller, I've been asked to escort you out." Lisa gave Donna a quick hug. "Thanks for being a friend. I'll call you later," Donna promised. The walk through the kitchen to the back door was humiliating. Everyone stopped what they were doing to watch. Some looked sympathetic, others confused. Lisa kept her head high, though tears threatened to spill from her eyes. Outside, the guard watched as she walked to her car. Only when she was inside with the door closed did Lisa finally let the tears come. She sat there for several minutes, crying quietly, before finally starting the engine and driving away from the coastal pine for what she thought would be the last time. Back at her apartment, Lisa faced a harsh reality. Her rent was due in 2 weeks. Her student loan payment would come out automatically next week. She had some savings, but not enough to last more than a month. She needed to find a new job immediately. Lisa spent the afternoon updating her resume and searching online, job boards. She applied for every server position in Carmel and the surrounding areas. By evening, she had sent out 15 applications but received no responses. As the sun set, Lisa sat at her small kitchen table with a cup of tea, feeling defeated. Her phone rang, and she answered without checking who was calling, hoping it was a restaurant responding to one of her applications. "Hello, is this Lisa Miller?" asked a woman's voice Lisa didn't recognize. "Yes, this is she," Lisa replied, trying to sound professional despite her exhaustion. "My name is Susan Allen. I'm Mr. Clint Eastwood's personal assistant. He asked me to check in with you and thank you again for returning his wallet the other night." Lisa was speechless for a moment. "That's very kind, but it really wasn't necessary." "Mr. Eastwood disagrees," Susan said warmly. "He was quite impressed by your integrity. He actually called the Coastal Pine today to commend you to your manager and was surprised to hear you no longer work there. May I ask what happened?" Lisa hesitated, unsure how much to share with a stranger on the phone. But there was something in Susan Allen's voice that made Lisa feel she could trust her. "I was fired this morning," Lisa said, her voice catching slightly. "They said I violated policy by taking the wallet off the premises instead of putting it in the lost and found." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "That seems like an extreme reaction to returning someone's property," Susan finally said. "That's what I thought too," Lisa replied. She briefly told Susan about the strange conversation with Paul and Kate, including Donna's comment about their unusual anger. "I see," Susan said thoughtfully. "Well, Mr. Eastwood was quite impressed with your honesty, especially since the wallet contained some irreplaceable personal items along with the cash. He'd like to meet with you if that's possible." Lisa sat up straighter, surprised. "Meet with me? Why?" "He didn't share his exact reasons," Susan explained. "But he was very clear that he wanted to thank you personally. Would tomorrow morning at 10 work for you? At his production office in town?" Lisa had planned to spend the next day applying for more jobs and following up on the applications she had already sent. But this was Clint Eastwood. "Yes, that works. For me," she said. "Excellent. The address is 545 Ocean View Drive. Just give your name at the front desk." After hanging up, Lisa sat staring at her phone. Why would Clint Eastwood want to meet with her again? She had already returned his wallet, and he had already thanked her. It seemed strange, but also exciting. At the very least, it was a positive distraction from her job situation. The next morning, Lisa dressed in her best outfit, a navy blue dress with a simple cardigan and low heels. She wanted to look professional, but not like she was trying too hard. She drove to the address Susan had given her, finding a modest but elegant office building overlooking the Pacific Ocean. At the front desk, a friendly receptionist checked her name against an appointment list. "Yes, Miss Miller, please take a seat. Someone will be with you shortly." The waiting area was comfortable, with leather chairs and framed movie posters on the walls, all films that Eastwood had directed or starred in. Lisa recognized many of them. She had always admired his work, both as an actor and director. After about 10 minutes, Susan Allen appeared. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and kind eyes. "Lisa, I'm Susan. We spoke on the phone. Please, come with me." Susan led Lisa down a hallway decorated with more movie memorabilia. "Mr. Eastwood is finishing up a call, but he'll be with you in a moment," she explained, as they reached a wooden door with a simple nameplate that read, "C. Eastwood." Susan knocked once, then opened the door. "Lisa Miller is here," she announced. "Send her in," came the familiar raspy voice. Lisa entered the office, which was surprisingly simple. There were no flashy decorations or obvious signs of Hollywood success. Instead, it looked like a working office, with papers organized neatly. On a large desk, a few comfortable chairs and large windows with a stunning view of the ocean. Clint Eastwood stood up to greet her. In person, he was tall and fit despite his age. He wore a simple button-down shirt and khaki pants. Nothing about him suggested he was one of the most famous actors and directors in the world. "Ms. Miller," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming." Lisa shook his hand. "Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Eastwood. Please sit down." He gestured to a chair across from his desk. "Susan, could you join us?" Susan sat in another chair next to Lisa while Eastwood returned to his seat behind the desk. "I understand you lost your job because you returned my wallet," he said directly. Lisa nodded. "Yes, that's right. They said I violated policy by taking it off the premises." Eastwood frowned. "That seems like an overreaction." "I thought so too," Lisa agreed. "Especially since I've worked there for 3 years with no problems." "Tell me more about your managers," Eastwood said. "What were their names again?" "Paul Grant is the restaurant manager, and Kate Johnson is the owner," Lisa explained. Eastwood exchanged a quick glance with Susan, who made a note on a small pad. "And what exactly did they say when they fired you?" he asked. Lisa recounted the meeting in detail, including Paul's suggestion that she might have taken some of the money. "The whole thing felt wrong," she concluded, "like they were looking for a reason to fire me." Eastwood leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "Ms. Miller, please call me Lisa." He smiled slightly. "Lisa, I understand you're studying business administration?" Lisa was surprised he remembered this detail from their brief conversation at his home. "Yes, I am. At the community college, I take night classes after work, or I did when I had work." "Why business administration?" he asked, seeming genuinely curious. "I want to run my own business someday," Lisa explained. "Nothing big, maybe a small cafe or bookstore, something that's mine." Eastwood nodded approvingly. "Good goal, ambitious but realistic." He leaned forward. "Lisa, I'd like to offer you a job." Lisa blinked in surprise. "A job? Doing what?" "We have an internship program here at Malpaso Productions," he explained, referring to his production company. "Normally, it's for film students, but we could use someone with a business background. It's paid, and the hours are flexible so you can continue your studies." Lisa was speechless. Was Clint Eastwood really offering her a job? I don't know what to say," she finally managed. "I don't have any experience in film production." "You have experience in customer service, organization, and working under pressure," Susan pointed out. "Those skills are valuable in any industry." "And you've demonstrated integrity," Eastwood added. "That's something I value highly." Lisa's mind was racing. This was completely unexpected but also incredibly exciting. What would I be doing exactly? You'd start as a general assistant, Susan explained, helping with paperwork, scheduling, answering phones. As you learn more, you could take on additional responsibilities based on your interests and strengths. The pay is better than waitressing, Eastwood added, and there's room for growth. Lisa felt overwhelmed by the offer. Yesterday, she had lost her job of 3 years. Today, one of the most famous filmmakers in the world was offering her a new one. It seemed too good to be true. "Why are you doing this?" she asked honestly. "Is it just because I returned your wallet?" Eastwood looked at her directly. "Partly, yes. You did the right thing even when it wasn't easy or convenient. That says something about your character, but also, I've been in this business a long time. I've learned to trust my instincts about people, and my instincts tell me you'd be an asset here." Lisa took a deep breath. This was happening so fast, but sometimes opportunities came when you least expected them. "When would I start?" "How about Monday?" Susan suggested. "That would give you a few days to adjust to the idea and us time to prepare your workspace." "I'll do it," Lisa said, making the decision. "Thank you both so much for this opportunity. I promise I won't let you down." Eastwood stood and extended his hand again. "Welcome to Malpaso Productions, Lisa." As Susan showed Lisa out, providing her with paperwork and details about her new position, Lisa felt like she was in a dream. The past 24 hours had been a roller coaster, from losing her job to finding a new, better one. On her way out of the building, Lisa passed a man entering. He was well-dressed in an expensive suit and had a serious expression. He nodded politely to Lisa as they passed each other in the doorway. "Mr. Peterson is here," the receptionist announced over the phone as Lisa was leaving. Lisa thought nothing of it as she walked to her car. She had no way of knowing that Jack Peterson was a private investigator hired by Clint Eastwood, or that their brief passing was the beginning of a much bigger story that would soon unfold. The next few weeks were a whirlwind for Lisa. Her new job at Malpaso Productions was nothing like waitressing. On her first day, Susan showed her around the office, introduced her to the small but efficient team, and set her up at a neat desk with a computer and phone. "Don't worry about learning everything at once," Susan assured her. "Just take it day by day." Lisa's duties were varied. She answered phones, organized schedules, filed paperwork, and ran errands. Everyone was patient with her questions, and she found herself enjoying the work more than she had expected. The flexible hours meant she could still attend her business classes, and the pay was indeed much better than what she had earned at the Coastal Pine. Clint Eastwood himself was often out of the office, working on his latest film project. But, when he was around, he always greeted Lisa warmly and sometimes asked for her help directly with small tasks. Despite his fame, he was surprisingly down-to-earth and treated everyone with the same respect, from the janitor to the executive producers. 1 month into her new job, Lisa was staying late to finish organizing some files when she heard voices from Eastwood's office. The door was slightly ajar, and she recognized Eastwood's distinctive rasp along with another male voice she didn't know. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but as she walked past, she heard her own name mentioned. "So you're certain about what happened with Lisa Miller's situation?" Eastwood was saying. "Yes, sir," the other man replied. Lisa realized it must be Jack Peterson, the man she had passed in the doorway on her first visit. She had seen him a few times since then and learned he was some kind of consultant, though no one specified exactly what he did. "I've spoken with 3 former employees of the Coastal Pine," Peterson continued. All of them confirmed similar incidents over the past 2 years. Valuable items found by staff were required to be placed in the lost and found. Later, when customers returned to claim them, the items would be missing or valuable contents would be gone. Lisa froze outside the door, her heart racing. Was Peterson suggesting what she thought he was? "And the managers?" Eastwood asked. "Based on my investigation, Paul Grant and Kate Johnson have been systematically stealing from the lost and found," Peterson explained. "They've created a policy that requires all found items to go through them first, supposedly for logging purposes. Several employees suspected something was wrong but were afraid to speak up for fear of losing their jobs." "Just like Lisa," Eastwood noted. Except in her case, she unknowingly disrupted their operation by returning your wallet directly to you, Peterson said. According to my sources, they had already told certain staff members they had found your wallet and would contact you the next day, when you never came looking for it, because I already had it, Eastwood finished. They needed a scapegoat, so they fired Lisa for breaking their policy. Exactly, Peterson confirmed. And it gets worse. I've uncovered at least 12 similar incidents over the past year alone. The total value of the stolen items likely exceeds $50,000. Lisa gasped softly, then quickly moved away from the door. Not wanting to be caught listening, she returned to her desk, her mind spinning with what she had just heard. Her former managers had been stealing from customers, and she had accidentally exposed their scheme by returning Eastwood's wallet directly to him. The next morning, Lisa debated whether to mention what she had overheard. The decision was made for her when Susan called her into Eastwood's office. "Lisa," Eastwood greeted her. "Please sit down. There's something I need to discuss with you." Lisa sat across from him, nervous. Jack Peterson was also present, standing by the window. "I believe you've met Jack Peterson," Eastwood said. Lisa nodded. "Yes, briefly." "Jack is a private investigator," Eastwood explained. "After hearing about your situation at the Coastal Pine, I asked him to look into it. I had a feeling there was more to the story." Lisa swallowed hard. "I actually overheard some of your conversation yesterday. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to eavesdrop." Eastwood waved away her apology. "It's fine. You deserve to know anyway. It appears your former managers have been running a theft operation through the restaurant's Lost and Found. But why would they risk their jobs and reputation for that?" Lisa asked. "Greed, plain and simple," Peterson answered, "and they thought they had a foolproof system, until you came along. By returning my wallet directly to me," Eastwood continued, "you unknowingly revealed their scheme. They had already removed the cash, about $2,000, and were planning to find the empty wallet the next day." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "That's why they were so angry with me." "Precisely," Peterson said. "You didn't just break their policy. You exposed their criminal activity." "What happens now?" Lisa asked. "I've turned my findings over to the local police," Peterson explained. "They're opening an official investigation. They'll likely want to interview you about your experience." "And the Coastal Pine?" Lisa couldn't help but think of her former co-workers like Donna, who still worked there. "That will depend on the police investigation," Eastwood said. "But I suspect there will be significant changes in management at the very least." Lisa sat back, trying to process everything. "I can't believe it. All this time they were stealing from customers, and they fired me for being honest." "That's why I hired you," Eastwood said simply. "I value honesty. It's rare these days." 2 days later, Lisa was at her desk when she got a call from a Detective Bridges with the Carmel Police Department. He asked if she could come to the station to give a statement about her time at the Coastal Pine and the circumstances of her dismissal. Lisa agreed, and Susan adjusted her schedule so she could leave early. At the police station, Lisa was led to a small but comfortable interview room where Detective Bridges, a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a serious demeanor, took her statement. "Your information is very helpful, Ms. Miller," he told her after she had shared her story. "We've already interviewed several other employees and former employees. The evidence against Mr. Grant and Ms. Johnson is mounting." "What will happen to them?" Lisa asked. "If the evidence continues as it has been, they'll likely face multiple counts of theft and possibly fraud," the detective explained. "This kind of systematic stealing over time adds up to serious charges." As Lisa was leaving the police station, she was surprised to see Donna from the Coastal Pine entering the building. They spotted each other immediately. "Lisa!" Donna exclaimed, rushing over to hug her. "I've been trying to call you. Did you hear what's happening?" "I think so," Lisa said. "I just gave my statement about Paul and Kate." Donna nodded eagerly. "The police came to the restaurant yesterday. They arrested both of them. It was unbelievable. Everyone was shocked. Well, not everyone." She lowered her voice. "Some of us had suspicions for a long time. Things would go Missing from the lost and found, but we were all too afraid to say anything. What's happening with the restaurant now? Lisa asked. It's temporarily closed, Donna explained. But there's a rumor that the property owner might bring in new management and reopen. A lot of us are hoping we can keep our jobs. Lisa felt relieved that her former co-workers might not lose their livelihoods because of Paul and Kate's actions. Oh, Donna suddenly remembered something. I almost forgot. The craziest part is that apparently Clint Eastwood was involved somehow. Is that true? Someone said you're working for him now? Lisa smiled. It's a long story, but yes, I am. As they parted ways, Lisa reflected on how much her life had changed in just a few weeks. She had gone from being unfairly fired to having a better job, and now the truth about her former managers was coming to light. Justice was being served. What Lisa didn't know yet was that the story was about to take another unexpected turn. The local newspaper had gotten wind of the scandal, and a reporter was already working on a feature story about the honest waitress who had stood her ground, the Hollywood legend who had believed in her, and the scheme they had exposed together. The Carmel Pine Cone, the local newspaper, ran a front-page story the following week. Honest waitress exposes years-long theft scheme at popular restaurant. The article detailed how Lisa had been fired for returning Clint Eastwood's wallet, and how that simple act of honesty had uncovered a criminal operation. Lisa was surprised when her phone began ringing non-stop after the story was published. Friends, former co-workers, and even strangers called to express their support. Several local TV stations wanted to interview her. Lisa felt uncomfortable with all the attention, but Susan helped her navigate it. You don't have to do any interviews, if you don't want to, Susan assured her. But if you do choose to speak publicly, it's an opportunity to share an important message about integrity. After thinking it over, Lisa agreed to one interview with the local news station. She spoke simply and honestly about what had happened, emphasizing that she had just done what she thought was right. I never expected to lose my job over it, she told the reporter. And I certainly never expected to end up working for Clint Eastwood. Life takes strange turns sometimes. The story quickly spread beyond Carmel. National news outlets picked it up, fascinated by the combination of a famous Hollywood icon, criminal managers, and an honest waitress who stood her ground. Lisa's phone interview appeared on morning shows across the country. Meanwhile, the police investigation continued. More former employees of the Coastal Pine came forward with stories of lost items that had mysteriously disappeared. The evidence against Paul and Kate grew stronger each day. They were charged with multiple counts of theft and fraud. Their court date was set for 3 months later. The restaurant remained closed for 2 weeks. Then, as Donna had predicted, the property owner brought in new management. To everyone's surprise, the new manager was Barry Collins, a well-respected restaurateur from San Francisco, who had recently sold his own successful business and was looking for a new challenge. Barry's first action was to call a meeting with all the former employees of the Coastal Pine. He explained his plans to reopen the restaurant under a new name, with a renewed commitment to honesty and integrity. He offered jobs back to all the staff who wanted to return. I've also reached out to Lisa Miller, Barry told the group. I've invited her to come back as assistant manager if she's interested. Lisa was stunned when she received Barry's call. She had never expected to return to the restaurant in any capacity, let alone as assistant manager. She arranged to meet Barry for coffee to discuss the offer. I know you have a good position with Malpaso Productions, Barry said when they met. But I thought you might be interested in getting some practical experience in restaurant management, given your business studies. Lisa was torn. She had grown to love her job at Eastwood's production company, but Barry's offer aligned perfectly with her long-term goal of running her own business someday. Can I think about it? She asked. Of course, Barry replied. The offer remains open. That evening, Lisa decided to speak with Eastwood himself about the situation. She was nervous about telling him she was considering another job, but she felt she owed him the truth after everything he had done for her. To her surprise, Eastwood smiled when she explained the situation. I was wondering when someone would Recognize your management potential, he said. You're not upset? Lisa asked, relieved. Not at all, Eastwood assured her. I hired you because you deserved a chance after what happened, but I've always believed people should follow their own path. Eastwood thought for a moment, then made a suggestion. What if you worked part-time at both places for a while? You could gain experience in restaurant management while still keeping your foot in the door here. Lisa hadn't considered that possibility. Do you think that would work? I'm sure we can arrange it, Eastwood said. Susan can adjust your schedule here, and you can talk to Barry about your availability. That way, you can decide which path feels right without having to choose immediately. Lisa felt a wave of gratitude. Once again, Eastwood was offering her an unexpected opportunity. Thank you, she said sincerely, for everything. Eastwood shook his head. You earned this, Lisa. All of it. The next day, Lisa spoke with Barry, who was enthusiastic about the part-time arrangement. They agreed that Lisa would work 3 days, a week at the restaurant, focusing on learning the management side of the business. The renovated restaurant reopened 1 month later, under a new name, Honest Fare. The name was Barry's idea, inspired by Lisa's story. The local community embraced the new restaurant and business was good from the very first day. Lisa divided her time between Malpaso Productions and Honest Fare, learning valuable skills in both places. At the production company, she gained experience in scheduling, budgeting, and coordinating complex projects. At the restaurant, she learned about inventory management, staff supervision, and customer service from a management perspective. 6 months later, Paul and Kate's trial concluded. Both were found guilty on multiple counts of theft and fraud. Paul was sentenced to 18 months in prison, while Kate received 2 years due to her role as the owner and primary beneficiary of the scheme. They were also ordered to pay restitution to the victims they had stolen from. Lisa attended the sentencing, sitting quietly in the back of the courtroom. She felt no joy in seeing her former employers led away in handcuffs, only a sense that justice had been served. As she was leaving the courthouse, Lisa ran into Clint Eastwood, who had testified during the trial about his stolen wallet. How are you feeling? He asked her. Relieved, I think, Lisa replied. It's finally over. They walked together to the parking lot. How's the restaurant going? Eastwood asked. Really well, Lisa said enthusiastically. Barry is a great mentor. He's teaching me everything about running a successful restaurant. And your studies? I'm finishing my business degree next semester, Lisa said proudly. And I've been accepted to a special program for entrepreneurs at the State University. I can complete most of it online while still working. Eastwood nodded approvingly. Sounds like you're on your way. 1 year after Lisa had found Eastwood's wallet, Honest Fare was thriving. The restaurant had developed a reputation not just for good food but for ethical business practices. Barry had implemented a new transparent system for handling lost items, and the restaurant donated a portion of its profits to local charities. Lisa continued to work both jobs, gaining valuable experience that would help her achieve her dream of owning her own business someday. She had saved enough money to start looking at potential locations for the small cafe she hoped to open within the next few years. On the anniversary of the day she had been fired, Lisa received a small package at her apartment. Inside was a brand new wallet with a note. Sometimes doing the right thing comes at a cost, but integrity always pays off in the end. Keep following your path. C.E. Lisa smiled as she read the note. Her life had changed completely in the past year, all because she had made one simple choice to do the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. That evening, as she drove to her night class, Lisa reflected on the strange turns her life had taken. She had lost a job but found a career. She had exposed a crime and helped bring justice. And most importantly, she had stayed true to herself. The honest waitress who had once been dismissed for returning a wallet had found her own path to success, one that was built on the very integrity that had cost her her job in the first place. And that, Lisa thought as she parked her car and headed to class, was the most unbelievable part of the entire story.